Madam Deputy Speaker, welcome. I rise to add my support to the bill currently before this House and to support the move of this bill in what we believe is a timely piece of legislation. I think those who spoke before me have clearly laid out a rationale for the bill and laid the landscape in which, especially with the last speaker, that there needs to be a balance. On the one hand, there needs to be, for us and our people, to be able to improve their standards of living, their way of life on the one hand, but it needs to be done with a certain amount of prudence and probity so that businesses and financial institutions who encourage and advertise and market goods and services at relatively low value for those who have of limited means would not do so and become caught up, as it was, in questions of debt that would impact upon our financial institutions. The bill before the House, Madam Deputy Speaker, seeks to fortify the integrity of our financial system and does so by seeking to establish a true picture of the financial credibility of customers. It is common knowledge, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the proper application of good governance requires a high level of commitment to the principles of transparency and accountability. It is as equally important from the perspective of the rule of law that to achieve the appropriate balance, that there must be, as it was, this balance between the principles of having to encourage economic growth, encourage those who are less fortunate to improve their standards of living by having access to consumer products and so forth, but also that the creditors act responsibly in the way in how we handle these issues. Madam Deputy Speaker, we have articulated many times before that there are certain imperatives that are required of us as a sovereign nation. And as we contemplate at this juncture what over the last 35 years of self-government, what it has meant to us, it is vital to recognize that there is a level of responsibility that must permeate our systems. True democracy cannot be lived in a vacuum. It often takes its flavor from what reasonable men and reasonable societies throughout the world have recognized as being good and right and justifiable decision making. And that is why we have best standards and good practices being established by a number of institutions worldwide who set the framework for us to operate, and such as our own Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. As the mover of the bill has indicated, this credit reporting bill before the House is part of a framework from the Eastern Caribbean Council Union involving other countries in the organized Eastern Caribbean states that now sets the framework, as it was, to help to give us an increased focus on setting and maintaining the probity our financial institutions. One can say that in this particular landscape, that facts need to be checked and rechecked. And for instance, what a customer represents as being the truth needs to be adequately verified by our financial institutions with a certain level of confidence. We heard the member for Nevis 9 make the point where someone would go to a lending institution or a consumer business with a letter indicated that they had a second job with a certain remuneration that was non-existent. There was no evidence other than this letter that had been provided by somebody. And so they got themselves into trouble where they were not able to maintain the payments to that consumer house. And it's this issue, this problem that affects the consumer, the citizen, this problem that affects the commercial entity. Both of them add to problems for our financial system, the financial system in which we operate in. That affects our currency union. And so the bill is meant to be able to give a certain level of confidence to all of those who operate here. The establishment of a credit reporting bureau seeks to provide that level, that additional level of comfort to financial institutions as to the level of risk being undertaken in relation to the customer seeking to expand his or her financial commitments. And we have witnessed with regret what can happen when the credit base of too many customers is built on a house of straw. It can wind up undermining the entire financial framework of our country. And in other words, those negative repercussions can be far-reaching. I think, therefore, that the bill that we support here today, which establishes this credit reporting bureau, that sets that regulatory framework for those who want to engage in businesses or services to rate credit ratings and so forth, the framework in which we are able to have individuals' credits rating being ranked and created, where we are very clear on the questions in which there's a certain level of confidentiality, that people's information that is collected is protected and only used in a very specified way by overseen and supervised by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is very critical for all our citizens to understand. This is not willy-nilly that people would have their information on the street. The confidentiality involved here is critical to everything that we do. And so, Madam Speaker, with those few words and in supporting the whole question of this effort to bolster, to strengthen our financial institutions, our financial systems in our country, I wish to give full support to this bill currently before the House. May it please you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Stay up to date with news, programs, and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.